coming off of a straight fresh win, eighth round KO, stop a knockout actually over Kambosos. I mean, tell me, man, how's it feel to get this victory?
Was it was inevitable. So I'm good. It's just another day in the office. You know how that go.
Feel like you guys made that statement that needed to be made by stopping Kambosos in the eighth round, or do you feel like you guys could have made it happen a little sooner?
The stoppage is the stoppage. You know what I mean? So whether it was in the sooner or whether it was in the eighth round, it was coming. So you know, kudos to Hitchins from following the plan, the game plan, and doing what we worked on and manifested it in the ring.
Wins. What do you grade it, Coach?
I give him 8.5 to a 9. You know, yeah, I'm critical. Because each round goes higher and higher. And there's always something to work on. Um, knowledge is infinite. We're forever learning. So you get like an 8.5 to a 9 for me. You know, you still because there's still things to work on. I still see some things that he need to develop in. But thank God for the victory.
Tell me, when you look at Kambosos and how much damage he took, what would you have to say? Do you feel like he's officially a gatekeeper of the division? Do you feel like he might be damaged goods nowadays? I mean, what do you think?
I guess the gatekeeper. He was on a comeback. You know, he accomplished a lot in boxing, Ring Magazine, and all that other stuff. And so yeah, now it's up to him to decide what he wants to do in terms of whether he continue boxing or whether he stops. I mean, he took a terrible beating yesterday. You know, and that's it. A lot of people feel that when these fighters, I mean, he's still in his prime. He's 30 years old. Yeah, he's 30 years old. He's 32 years old. So he still, if he would have beat him, or if he would have beat Richardson Hitchens, nobody wouldn't call him damaged goods. They just would have jumped on Richardson Hitchens and said, "We told you, we told you." I'm glad he got his ass whipped because he talked too much. But now you would have called Kambosos damaged goods. That's not the case. He came out there, he thought he could beat him. He talked trash all the way up until the fight. You understand what I'm saying? So I mean, you can't say that. You can't say that. He's a great fighter. He's battle tested. Hitchison was up against somebody who could have won. And he didn't. And that's it. Is that in light of Cambosos' abilities and his accomplishments in the ring, that he figured he can go up in weight to win a world title because he's a world title fighter. He held his own, so he made that choice. He made a decision. You understand? So you can't say anything. You know. Blame his team. Blame his team. You can't take the victory away from Richardson Hitchens. You know. So that's that. If Richardson Hitchens was to move to 154, 160 and campaign at that weight and try to get a title and he loses, you can't blame him because that was a decision. You understand? But it's the nature of a fighter, to conquer. And so that's how he felt.
That Lomachenko was able to stop Kambosos and obviously target the body. Did you guys feel like that was definitely one of the game plans that you guys needed to capitalize to get this victory? Because he's hurt him several times before he dropped him uh, with body shots. I think it was a beautiful
That was part of the game plan. Part of the game plan was not to 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 maintain a certain type of mid-range distance, you know, and target his body and target his body, stay behind the stick, put them punches there. If you notice, Hitchins started throwing short uppercuts and he was throwing left hooks that people haven't seen before. Remember that? Everybody said, "Oh, he threw his throw straight right hand, jab, get the jab, jab, right hand." You see, so that's growth. That's growth. You know, so that's growth.
agree.
So that's why you can't always like out count him because I'm forever watching what he's doing. I'm a boxing man, regardless if I didn't fight on this level or whatever. I see what I see and I know what I know. You understand? So that's it. So yes, that was part of the game plan was to target his body because he eat too much bread in Australia.
For the people that are tapping in, all the fathers out there, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Lenny, happy Father's Day as well. Um, Definitely a great victory. Now, let's get right more into it. Bill Haney came in and funny guy. So tell me, what's your reaction to, his comments of saying that, Devin's 24 rounds with Kambosos was a better performance. Mm.
Handkerchief head ass nigga. When that handkerchief head niggas that work in the field, you want to all up George Kambosos' ass and shit like that, you know. And guess what? If hit Devin with 24 rounds with Kambosos and the way that Hitchins destroyed him, imagine what Hitchins is going to do to Devin Haney if they ever fight. Think about it. Somebody went 24 rounds. Who cares? Did he learn anything? He got his father in his corner who don't know shit about boxing. You understand? So I mean, come on. All he got is a big mouth. But I appreciate him. I appreciate him because if he wouldn't have said what he said when I picked up that fucking chair, right? If he wouldn't have said that, I probably would be in jail right now. So he brought that monster out of me. So I had to get it out of me. You understand? So I appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that. Because homeboy Cambosa's father was gonna get it. Like his father was gonna get it, and I don't know. I probably would have went to jail because I was gonna get him one way or the other, you know. And it was because he hit me with that fucking mic. He snuck up behind the what they call it, the security guard. Everybody think I just picked up the chair and wanted to hit him. No, I got a little bit more class than that. But once you touch me, it's a wrap. And he came over and did some pussy shit after they all had us separated. And he come hopping over past Eddie Hearn and what's the guy name? Luke DeVella and pop, you see? And I'm like steaming. I said, this motherfucker hit me. I said, nah, he ain't getting away with this shit. They talking about boxing and all that. You understand? I hear you, but I don't hear you. And that's a fact. I hear you and I don't hear you. He gonna get it. And that's what I was telling him when I was sitting down. I was like, I kept looking at him. I kept pointing at him. I said, you're gonna get it, you're gonna get paid for that. You're gonna pay for that. And then Devin Haney, father, him and Africa was going back and forth. And he said, hey, did your coach teach you defense? He said, because George Cambosos senior just popped him upside the head with the damn mic. I said, oh yeah? And that's when I went after the chair. And that's probably what you want to talk about later on. But that's what it was. Yeah, that's what it was. And like I'm gonna keep it a buck, keep it 100. I'm glad he did that because if he didn't do it, I was gonna get him. I was gonna get him. Like I'm not no kid. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a kid, and I was gonna get him. Whether it's gonna be during that time or after the conference was like over and people start mingling, he was gonna get it. And I just was trying to figure out when. You get it? I was trying to say, when I'm gonna get this motherfucker? Like, should I go behind, the chairs and shit like right, exactly. Right, exactly. Cause that was it. My man told me I should have threw the mic. I said, fuck a mic. I wanted to fucking immobilize this nigga. But I'm sorry, for even like talking like this and unfortunately, you just happen to see an angry black man. But yo, I'm a type of angry black man you just don't fuck with. I'm not tough. I'm not bad, but I'm not. It's not. I'm far from being a chump. That's it. So, he's just lucky, and I think that's why I appreciate Devin Haney's father, right, Bill Haney, because he brought it out, and that was good. God used him while the devil was trying to use me. You understand? That's what you got to think about. Even though he got a big mouth, God used him because I was full of the devil at that time. I was full. I'm gonna send you a picture. Where that picture at? I'm gonna send you a picture that somebody sent me. Hold up. My phone at?
Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Salute to everybody. Low Nose Boxing, HLD, Ryan Anthony. Salute to y'all. Ice City.
Now, but and still I was trying to look for trouble, even at the damn weigh-in. At the weigh-in, the what they call that? The no, the what's that? The when we was at the with the gloves. Yeah, I was trying to lock eyes with him. Because if I would have locked eyes with him, he would have got slick. I would have went after him again. You see how crazy I am? So there you go. So I just sent you the picture. So so I was like, yo, but it's all fair. Like all is fair in love and war.
Y'all, Lenny. Lenny mean mugging.
I was telling that nigga I'm gonna get it. I said I'm gonna get you.
Yo,
Uh,
I'm so I'm so Brooklyn.
uh,
Yo. So I remember at one point in time, George Kambosos snuffed Teal's pops, remember? In the
something like that.
yeah, or something like that. Yeah. Maybe he didn't snuff him, maybe he just choked him. I don't know, but he definitely put hands on him in the gym. I seen that.
It wasn't that. It wasn't on. It was. It wasn't on. It wasn't on.
TV. It with the big cameras. I think it was Top Rank that did the show, or maybe the Zone. I'm not sure.
Was it a fight?
It was leading up to the fight.
See, I ain't going for all that. That's crazy. I'm not going for all that. I'm not going for all that. I'm not
That
going
time
for all
comes.
that. You can say all you want to say, just don't touch me. I'm from the old school. I'm from the old school. I ain't got time, and I'm not trying to talk like a tough guy. I'm just keeping it 100. You know,
Thank you for the 2 piece. Appreciate the donations dearly. We don't want Richardson versus Debo. We want Tio versus Richardson. What you think, man?
right? Tio versus Richardson Hitchins, and the reason why it would be a good fight is because uh, Tio does a lot of things in terms of twitch muscles and different looks, and so yeah, that would be a good fight. And he tried to bring it, but again, it would be to no avail. Because Teofimo makes a lot of a lot of mistakes, and has a lot of holes. You know, and that's it. So it would be an excellent fight for sure.
Tension went from Teofimo Lopez to Devin Haney. Um, yeah, like why has that attention really kind of spurred more to Devin than Tio? I mean, we've seen Richardson call out Tio for a while now. So we want to know why has that attention really went towards Devin now.
Weight, because at one point Devin moved up in weight, and and Tio was supposed to fight. What's the guy name? Boots Ennis. I knew that wasn't gonna go down, and then you know people assumed that it would be a Devin Haney and a Tio fight, but I think that I don't know what happened with that, but uh, I just knew that once Tio wasn't fighting, or what's the guy named Boots Ennis, that it would be something else, you know. And it's probably a money thing, you know. I can't tell you. I mean, maybe that fight doesn't make sense. Maybe that fight for I'm talking about with Devin, but with Tio, yes. But it probably wouldn't make fight sense. A Devin Haney and a Tefimo Lopez. Now that Africa or Richardson Hitchins has the belt, that's more likely. You know, that unification would be better. Those are the type of fights that need to be made. You know, that's what the people want to see. They want to see unified champions or belt holders unify their belts, and it's the best fighting the best. You know, that's what the people need to see.
Richardson Hitchins and Devin Haney.
Richardson Hitchens beating him. I mean, I told you a long time ago they used to spar together. He's familiar with, of course. I've been training Africa since he was a kid. I've been knowing Devin Haney since it was yay high. So they come up, you know, they come up. So I've seen it on numerous occasions, and I've seen it even when they spar like three times in Vegas at an young adult age, 20, 21, that type of stuff, you know. So it's going to be a good matchup, but I believe that at the end of it all, Devin will get beat for sure. Uh, rates him is Richardson Hitchens' IQ, and his jab is more effective, and Richardson is more calculated than Devin. And then Devin is suffering from PTSD, whatever they call that, post traumatic stress disorder, from getting knocked out by Ryan Garcia. I mean, not that we're gonna look at that as be a number one factor, but he got a lot of issues going on, especially now that he's seen Richardson Hitchens has knockout power. So a guy like him is not going to want to get hit no more, and he's not going to want to slip up. So he's going to be more cautious. He might run it in.
Just he hits a little harder and he also is just a little smarter.
Smarter. He has a good chin. All his life.
It's a big separation
I've
gap right
seen him.
there.
I've seen Richardson get hit, not by Devin, but bigger guys than Devin. So I already know.
The shots though, that's the thing. Like when they were touching each other and sparring, like who
Because of course,
chop easier and come back with more dog.
he come out with Africa. Richardson Hitchens is a student of the game. You know, he's born to do this shit. You know, he was born to do it. You know, so I mean, he's a specimen. You know, And so it would be I my money would go on Hitchins, and not because he's my fighter, just because of his abilities, his mindset. You know, I'm smarter than his father when it comes to boxing. His fa- yeah, his father's the ex-pimp and manager and all this stuff. That's what they say. I don't know. Wearing too many hats. You know, so we focused. We focused. We're focused. We're focused. When it comes time to fight, we're focused.
I've been seeing that he's been posting a lot on in New York,
New York a couple of times.
saying that he was looking for you guys.
Really? He look at the. Do he want that motherfucking chair episode to repeat all over again? This time on him? What are you looking for me for? He ain't looking for me. Not unless he's gonna give me some money. He gonna,
More Richardson. He was looking for Richardson. You know what I'm saying? Oh my goodness gracious!
you know what I'm saying? Bill Haney's a trip, but I still tip my hat to him for saving the fight. Because if he wouldn't have did what he did, I probably wouldn't have been in the corner. Yeah, because when he said, "Oh, George kept both his finger, hit you with the thing," you know how stuff be building up inside you, and you just build and build and building. It was built. I was, what I'm saying. I was on a mission. I was on a mission, homeboy. I mean, I hate to say it. I hope people don't think I'm non-professional. I'm very professional, but I was on a mission. And when he did that, he brought it out, which is cool. And I think, sometimes people could pick up things, Sometimes people, and Bill is very perceptive. He's a very perceptive man. So, it took him a while before he said maybe he saw my movements or whatever. And he's like, yo, let me say this motherfucking fight. I don't know, So
Competitive fight for Richardson, Devin or Tio.
use that word because
You know what's better. You know what's better working front.
Richardson Hitchins is a specimen. He's not like a normal young man, So it's not you can't say who's competitive. You understand? Because he's gonna always dominate. I don't want uh the fight to be competitive. You understand? I always want him to dominate. So I can't say who's competitive or who's not. You understand? It's, competitive is out the window. Richardson Hitchins. Richardson Hitchins.
That's you pulling up Bill Haney, who
I'm keeping it a buck. I always gonna keep it 100 with you. Who's a better fighter is Richardson Hitchins. Now, if you want to compare the two with Devin and Tiafimo, I would say Tiafimo is more of a better fighter than Devin. Well, like I said, he'll come. He will push the action. He will use the twitch metals. He take chances. He'll take chances, and things like that. So yes, I look at him as being more competitive when it comes to Devin and Tio. But when it comes to Richardson, there is no competition. He dominates. I don't know if you understand it.
one of the best jabs in boxing. Would you have to say that Richardson has a better jab?
Hit a nigga in the face with a jab at least 4 or 5 times in a row. Pop! Pop!
Bah, bah, bah.
Right! I never seen that. I never seen that. Richardson hit that nigga, bang, bang. Different type of act. You know why I always tell him to turn his punches over. I always turn them over. And if you want to cut somebody, you shoot that jab. As soon as the punch, your hand is open a little bit. As soon as it's getting ready to meet his mark, bang, turn it, twist the whole skin. All right. He dropped that nigga. They said it was a body shot, but that was a heart punch. He hit it right up under here. I know where that shot went. I know exactly where it went. It's about immobilizing your opponent when you're fighting. You know, you want to immobilize. You want to cut down organs. You want to hit shit where it stops functioning. You understand? You cut one organ off. Oh, other ones like this. You fuck up like with that little game they play with the guy with the body. That game, you know the game. Yeah, the little body game. It's not called that. It's called something else. But your organs from working. You know, that's what I'm saying. That's why he couldn't recover from that body shot.
It's the next move.
Yeah, I would want him to dominate the 140 division. I would want him to dominate. If he like this is one, if he make like 3 title defenses, you know, at that weight or 2 to 3 title defenses, that's a good thing. You run it, you run the course. You know what I'm saying? And then as time goes on, you see who's at 147, and then you make the conscientious decision or choice to go there. It's about winning. It's not about never losing. You understand? You know, you had guys back in the day, Carlos Monzon. You know, Carlos Monzon dominated the middleweight division with 14, 15 title defenses. You understand? Nobody could beat him like that. You have Jeff Chandler, skinny bantamweight fighter who dominated that division. You know, he didn't move up; he just dominated it. You know, with 10 title defenses. These guys don't do that today. You know, you want to dominate, then you go up. You know, so if I would like to see him with about this is first title defense. For me, I would like to see, you know, him defend it, you know, 2 or 3 more times. You know, 2 or 3 more times, dominate that defense. You're still gonna get paid. You're still gonna get paid. You know,
You know, possibly the winner of Boyo and Matias.
Matias. I think Boyle's gonna beat. That's next week, right?
No, not next week. The
Or
following week.
it's in July. I think he's gonna beat him. You know, because of Matias' ability, the way dimensional fighter. You know, so I believe that Matias Scram is going to beat him. Boyle.
Gary Anton Russell in the division.
But, you know, he's a great fighter. You know, maybe that could be a fight down the road.
Do you believe that? What was that? A lot of people don't mention his name. Why do you believe that?
I don't know. Maybe he had to step up the plate. I mean, he did. He had a great performance his last fight when he fought. Was Rio? Uh, that was a great performance. I think that as time goes on, people is going to still begin to hear more of him. You know, he's going to begin to hear more because he's a great fighter. I like his pressure. I like the combinations he throws and things of that nature. You know. So yeah.
Uh, So, do you feel like 147? When do you feel like that fight would probably only attend to like what Devin at this moment in time right now? At 147, is that only an option just for Devin? Yeah.
147 at this point right now to me is not on the radar. So I can't really comment about anything like that. It's not on the radar. 140 right now. Now, if Tio wants to fight, he has to come back to 140. What you running for? Why would Richard Hitchins, I mean, like I said, time will tell, time will tell.
Mentions a sellout for taking pictures with Tio. A lot of people felt like it was like a big promo, you know what I mean? Because they have the same.
That's what fighters do. Like why they feel it's a sucker. If you want to make a fight, you do things like that. They did that with the Sugar Ray Leonards and all the other great fighters. You do that because if it's a good fight, that's how you do it. That don't mean he's soft. What kind of dumbness is that?
Right, right, right.
That
What you
just
think?
makes
So, what do you feel like? You feel like a unification this year is in store?
uh, I hope so. I mean, you heard the press conference, post press conference, where uh, Keith and Eddie Hearns was talking about uh, within maybe between 2 to 3 weeks, you know, they could solidify his next fight and who that opponent might be. You know,
Division's heating up.
they've beaten up because of Richardson Hitchins and because people slept. People slept and they thought he was. See, that's what I'm trying to tell you. When he beat Liam Parrow, people thought he was going to lose. When he beat before Liam Parrow, what was the fight before Liam Parrow? Williams Zepeda, Lemos, Lemos. They try to count him out. You understand? But again, like I'm always telling them, he's always evolving. He's always evolving. And again, I know boxing. I know boxing. I know boxing when it comes to fighting. When it comes to the knuckle game, I know certain things and I can pick up certain things and I watch things. That's why I'm telling you, even although he beat this guy last night, right? There's still things that he can work on. I'm trying to cover all holes. I'm trying to cover all that. You understand? And it will be done, regardless to what anybody say. You know, the thing because I gotta watch him. I'm looking at his fight night now before you call me. What was he doing wrong? I ain't concerned about what he was doing good.
Fought this week. Does he beat the other champions?
100%. He's evolving. You gotta understand that. Boxing is like not only do you evolve with your skills, you evolve with your mind and your heart factor, because sometimes you still like it's are in what they call if you will, if they call high school. High school before you get to college, elementary school before you get to junior high school. You see what I'm saying? You have to learn. So he's in that area, regardless of how good people might think he's looking. Soon he'll be a graduate of college, going on to a PhD. You dig what I'm saying? So it's like that. And when we talk about things like it's just not skill wise, moving your head, jab. It's also mental. It's also mental. It's mental and it's this. You understand? That's how boxing is. That's how. And if you want it that bad, you will become a graduate. You will become a graduate of Syracuse University or Howard, if you will, or with a PhD.
Th- what's your thoughts on Shakur and Cepeda?
You know, I watched Zepeda, how he fought Tevin Farmer twice, which was his last fight. I was impressed for his consistency in terms of throwing punches and staying in Tevin Farmer's chest. You know, I think that Shakur could have a lot on his hands. You get what I'm saying? So I don't think it should be an easy fight, considering Shakur's last performance with Patty Boy or whoever that guy was. What's his name? That guy was a Padley, Patty Boy, whatever his name is, right? To me, Patty wasn't no real threat for him. This kid, Williams Cepeda, could be a threat. You can't sleep on the height. He's got the height. Williams Cepeda has the height. You know, Shakur is a good boxer. You know, will he be able to do what Richardson did? That remains to be seen. But he's in for a tough fight with Williams Cepeda. That's just my opinion. Look at their last fights. You get it?
Raz.
Same thing. Edgar, my man, and everything. But I think that Shiraz, he has a good long jab. You know, he can box. You know, we're going to see. Yeah, I think that Edgar has going to have a lot on his hands. He's going to have a lot to contend with. So maybe he'll come in differently, weight wise, more sharp appear, you know, and things like that, and overcome this cat, this Sherrod. But I think it's gonna. I think you can have two good fights in July, on when it comes to Shakur and Edgar Berlanga. And you have to look at the fact that I don't know. It's like where are these two guys heading? The Shakors and the Edgar. You know, is it a setup card? From what I understand, that Turkey Alley Sheet guy got that card, right? So what's going on there? Look at what happened when Rolly fought Garcia. Garcia was the heavy favorite, and nobody thought Rolly would do what he would do what that did to you know. It's a weird card to me. So it's like a card where anything can happen. So be ready. Yeah, be ready. To me, it's a card where you know anything can happen. Anything can happen. And it's in New York. Well, the other one was in New York too, right? You know, so I think both fighters got something on their hands, but I don't think it's a thing where it's something they can't overcome. You understand? Because they're both skilled fighters. The Shakur and Edgar, he packs a punch. You understand? So, you know, it's gonna be an interesting card.
Oh, you know what? On that, you got Floyd Schofield fighting Tevin Farmer. What you think about that fight?
Or Tevin Farmer.
Yeah, talk to me.
I think Tevin Farmer is more skillful. I think he's been in the ring uh, most recently. I think he's been around longer than Schofield. I think he has. what it takes to beat him. I don't think that even though they hyped him up in the past to fight Shakur, I just don't think Schofield is ready for a Tevin Farmer. Tevin Farmer is a very, very skillful boxer, you know. So
Roach rematch.
I would go with Tank. I think even though Richardson Tank is going through something, to me, Tank is a great fighter. Doesn't take away from his abilities as a fighter, you know. So I think that if I had to bet my money, in fact, I know if I had to bet my money, it would be on Tank. It would be on
Why?
Tank because Tank. First of all, Tank was winning the fight if he would have kept boxing. Tank is a good fighter. He's not dumb, and he engaged and he caught Rope with some clean shots. But I think that what happened in that fight was Tank had some other stuff going on. Did he train properly? He was going through stuff with Calvin, his head coach. There was a lot of things going on in that particular fight. You know, there was a lot of things going on. The grease getting in his eye. If the grease getting in his eye was here, was a testament to the distractions that was going on in the life before he even hit the ring. That's how I look at it. It was some distractions, man. People handle things differently. You know, people handle things differently. That's the way I see it. He had, whatever his problem. Before the fight, they were saying stuff. He was talking like my daughter. He was thinking about retiring and things of that nature. So I think psychologically, there was some things going on.
Match for sure.
But if I had to put my money, it would be Tank.
Mm. You got Crawford versus Canelo. You got Crawford.
Because Crawford is moving up to 168, right? Canelo, that's a 168 fight, right? Canelo always been there. So the thing is, how does Crawford go up in weight? How many weight divisions? Two, I believe it is, right? Carry that extra weight, right? How does he go up in that? And what's his preparation is like? You got to look at what his preparation is like. Because he's going against a man who's been dominating that division for a very long time, who's accustomed to that weight. And when that man goes rehydrate, I said, rehydrate, rehydrate back up, he might rehydrate with that 168. They fighting that? What? They fighting at 168? So imagine when he rehydrates. Not unless they not unless he did not unless he did some not unless he did some what they call it steroids, and I doubt that. I don't think because he's not that kind of guy. So it's all about the preparation, you know.
Dollars. Ask Lenny who wins, Tio or Subriel.
Sabrina Matias, that would be an interesting fight. I think maybe Tio would, because Tio's more elusive. Sabrina will have to catch him. He's more elusive, Tio. Up underneath him, turn in, tricky shit, jumping in the air with left foot, catch him open, things like that. Of course, Matias would have to continue to keep that constant pressure, but I think Tio will win because of his athleticism. He's very. June, maybe 3 or 4 months. June, July, August, September, October. Like October, maybe November, somewhere in there. It depends, you know. But we will be back. And we'll be coming back with something different. And we'll be coming back to put on a great performance for the people all around the world, you know, because it's not just about being just a king of New York. You know, when you're a world champion, you want to affect the world at large. You want to get you want to be the people's champion. You know, at home and abroad, right? Right, at home and abroad. You know, so that's what it is.
I'm about to go nap, but yeah, I'm about to go nap. But nevertheless, God bless you, man. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. No kids. And I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get
All
there.
right. Okay, you go get there.
Yeah, maybe tonight.
Uh-oh, there you
Hey,
go. You doing your squats, baby. That's what you got to do. All
smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Shout out to my man, Coach Lenny. Happy Father's Day to everybody. God bless, and on to the next.